Hello everyone. Today I'm on the Appalachian Trail, or at least part of it. Is this video about the Appalachian Trail? No. It is about hiking though. Specifically, some of the best hikes in Yellowstone National Park. At least in my opinion. So, that might differ from person to person. But to start just jumping right in, I would say that probably one of the best and prettiest hikes that I've gone on personally is Mount Washburn, specifically the Dunraven Pass entrance. And it is about, 6 miles out and back. And it is a pretty steep trail, just because you are ascending a mountain, of course. But the views are worth it, just by themselves. Also, I would say, if you do the Dunraven Pass route, because there's two routes, there's that one, and then there's the Chittenden route, which is a little bit shorter, but it's also steeper. So Dunraven is a bit more gradual going uphill, and if you go at the right time of year, usually around July or so, there's some really spectacular wildflowers and just the sights. You can see the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone from up there, and once you get towards the top you can actually see the Grand Tetons as well, and that of course is always a spectacular view. But yeah, I don't think it's a particularly hard hike, especially since it's such gradual elevation. So I definitely recommend it if you have the time for it. It's kind of situated between Canyon Village and Lake Village. So from where I worked and lived for 2 summers there in Yellowstone, it was about, I would say 40 or 45 minutes away from me. Yeah, so it was definitely a very enjoyable hike. And then you could also say that you summited a mountain, which is kind of fun. But let's see. The next one, Fairy Falls. Fairy Falls is one of the most popular hikes in the entire park, besides some of the... I'm going through a tree right now. Besides some of like the shorter boardwalk hikes, Fairy Falls is definitely one of the most popular in the whole park. Mainly because it's close to Old Faithful and it does have an overlook of the Grand Prismatic Springs, which everyone wants to see. It's that kind of rainbow looking spring. And it's a pretty short hike. It's only 4.5 miles out and back. But at the end, there is a very pretty waterfall. And also a ton of chipmunks. When me and my friends hiked that route, there were chipmunks, because we sat down on some rocks, and yeah, some chipmunks just approached us. I imagine someone was feeding them, which you're not supposed to do in a national park, but yeah, they were very definitely habituated to people. But yeah, the waterfall is the main attraction for Fairy Falls, and also, of course, the overlook of the Grand Prismatic. And in terms of difficulty, it's a very easy hike, I would say. Most of it is flat. Now the thing is, if you go in the summer, it does get very hot. I think we went in July or around then, and yeah, definitely a warm hike. But then once you get there to the falls there, you can kind of like dip your feet in the water and cool off. So I would say that's a very nice hike to do, but it does get very crowded in the peak season. So if you don't like crowds, you know, either go really early to avoid them, or you know, you could skip it and just do the boardwalk overlook of the Grand Prismatic if you wanted. But the next one, Storm Point. I've done Storm Point so many times, I've lost count. It is about a few miles away from where I used to work, so it was very accessible. And Storm Point is beautiful because it has a very nice overlook of Lake Yellowstone. It kind of goes through the woods a little bit, and then it goes along the beach, which is really pretty. It's only 2.3 miles. It's a loop, really easy. There is an animal risk, I would say, in terms of grizzly bears. Really love that area. So, I mean, sometimes the area is actually closed. Look at that river down there. Anyway, yeah, sometimes the hike is actually totally closed because of the bear activity. And even when it is open, there's still... I have never seen a bear on that trail, unfortunately. I have seen bison. Just every time there's bison there, which I would say can be just as dangerous as the bears, just because they can be pretty aggressive if you get too close to them. And there is this one point where there's like this small little wooden bridge that crosses over a river, and one time when I was hiking there, a bison decided to just walk right across that bridge, and it kind of made the trail impassable for a little bit, so we had to just kind of sit around and wait for the bison to go away. So that is definitely something to consider, is definitely bring your bear spray. I mean, bring your bear spray anywhere in Yellowstone when you're hiking, but especially in areas like that. But yeah, otherwise there's really beautiful vegetation and flowers, beach views, pretty much anything you want. Storm Point has it. And yeah, also just generally an easy trail. There's I think one big hill, and that's about it. So definitely a nice short hike if you're not wanting something intense, or if you got like young kids with you. It's pretty calm, tranquil hike. Now the next one is not technically a hike, it's more of a boardwalk sort of walk, but the Norris Geyser Basin Loop boardwalk trail, and that's about 1.5 miles, but I highly recommend it if you have never really seen like kind of hot springs or the thermal features of Yellowstone before, because it is definitely spectacular. And look at this weird little grotto. Anyway, yeah, so North Geyser Basin has some of the most stunning visual sights, I guess, in terms of thermal activity. You could see the bacteria that changes the color of the water there. So you'll have oranges and greens and all sorts of weird colors. And yeah, really easy boardwalk hike. Anyone can do it pretty much. I think it's even, I'm not sure if it's considered accessible or not, because there is kind of a steep area entering the loop. But otherwise, yeah, really easy stroll. Usually pretty crowded, but not, I would say not as crowded as Fairy Falls. So, yeah, really, really good, especially if you're interested in just the thermal features in the park, because there are a lot of like little signs that explain it scientifically, which I think is really cool. Yeah, and then the last one is the Howard Eaton Trail from Fishing Bridge to Canyon Village. I have not done the whole thing because the whole thing is about 13.5 miles. I have done maybe about 7 miles of it. So it's really pretty. It goes through a lot of different kind of biomes, I would say, in terms of, it goes through the sagebrush, like prairies and grassy areas and kind of swampy areas, and then it goes up through the forests, and then it goes through a burnt forest at one point, which is really interesting. And then at some point, I remember we went to these cascades near this river, and I don't remember exactly what they were called, but yeah, it's a really pretty hike for sure. It's mostly flat, has some hills, but yeah, you do have to prepare if you want to do the whole thing though. Like, you park your car at the end of it so you could drive back, but yeah, definitely a really good way to kind of see Yellowstone off the beaten path. And it's nice and quiet as well. I would say it's probably one of the less popular hikes in the park, but still worth it just to kind of see the environment, you know. Yeah, and otherwise just kind of a nice, enjoyable, calm hike to do. But yeah, so those are kind of the main hikes that I wanted to cover here in this video. Of course, there's, countless hikes out in Yellowstone that are really spectacular. But those are just kind of the ones that I've done personally and that I enjoy and think that other people would probably enjoy. So yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, maybe subscribe. I make videos about once a week, so stay tuned for those.